Hey guys, how are you? I'm doing great. I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day. I ate some good food. I bought myself some flowers. I had already had the candle and the nail polish that was early. So today I did the flowers and food, and I have some cheesecake for later. So I am excited about that. I loved on myself plenty. I hope that you all did the same, even if you had love coming from other sources. Always God, but make sure that it's reciprocal and make sure that you always show your self-love first and foremost. Um, Today I wanted to talk about the spiritual awakening. In my last video I kind of left off there. I spoke about it a little bit, mentioning the Kendrick Lamar lyrics in his song Reincarnated, where he says it's rehabilitation, not psychosis, because it's happened to me. I know it's happened to a lot of other people, that when you go through your spiritual awakening, others that are onlookers um, will often mistake it for psychosis or try to accuse you of being crazy. I've gone through this. It wasn't because of a spiritual awakening alone. There's a whole lot of other reasons behind it because there are narratives created about me and grasping at straws. I didn't have anything that I was doing wrong. So it was a lot of, well, she's crazy. So they kind of grasped at the straws at things that I was talking about to make me fit the narrative that they had put out into the community and in the courts about me. So I can't really, I can't go into the, well, not really. I can't go into the court stuff at all. But as far as the spiritual awakening, I would be able to advise you about being around people that love you, that trust you, people that you've discerned to be good for you in your life, that they want the best for you, and that you can have a safe place to talk about these things, safe person or people. Hopefully, you have a large support group that you can go to, people that love you, that wouldn't judge you in a time of a spiritual awakening, especially if they haven't gone through one themselves, because it's very hard for outsiders to understand if they haven't gone through, because you're separating yourself with a new reality than what they're experiencing. And it is a fact that people are scared of what they don't understand. So if they can't explain it themselves, if they can't grasp it or understand it, they're not on that level. And I don't mean you're better than them. I mean the level of enlightenment that they have experienced so far in their life, then they're simply not going to be able to converse with you about it in terms of sharing stories and being on common ground. Like I said in my last video, it's going to look like you have 3 heads. So there, you can go through several spiritual awakenings. Jim Carrey has a lot of, the comedian, the actor, has a lot of videos about this now because he has gone through a spiritual awakening, and he talks a lot about it. He's given several speeches, but graduation speeches. He's very empowering. He's very humble. He's very not so celebrity-ish, especially now that he's gone through this, because he wants to help others, and that's another part of the level of enlightenment that you will be at when you go through a spiritual awakening. Is you will at first feel like, and this is one of the ways that people will think that you have lost your marbles, is you will want to bring everybody with you. You will want to flip that switch for them so that you can be on common ground, that you can talk about your experiences with each other in a way that you can help each other through it. You can be enlightened together. You can be aligned together. And it's just not, everybody's different. Different things bring different people to their spiritual enlightening, and it's not always, rarely is it going to happen at the same time as your loved one or your friend or someone that's in close proximity to you. It might never happen to them. It depends. And spiritual enlightenment will begin usually with trauma. Some people have near-death experiences where they see things beyond this life, as far as experience things on a spiritual realm of 5D, if you will. Look up the different dimensions. So we're obviously in 3D. 4D is when you begin to have enlightenment, and 5D is when you simply live in the spiritual realm. Now, physically, you're not there, but mentally, that's how you think of life. You think of it in the terminology that I often speak in, as far as, your meditation, your being enlightened, talking about reincarnation, talking about having a human experience as a soul. Your soul is having a human experience. Earth school stuff that I talk about. If you look at the spiritual community and videos where they talk about spiritual awakenings, you're mainly going to hear, the shadow work. You're going to hear things about protecting yourself, because you see beyond the physical. Everything that you see is not what it actually is, because here we're in, for not a better term for it, we're in the matrix. We're limited. It's a limited belief system. So you think that you have to be here and work. You think that there's no greater meaning. Sometimes we struggle not with having faith in something, a higher power, but we struggle to think about the beyond. Nobody really knows before they have a spiritual awakening if there is anything beyond this life. What is there? How does it happen? Does death hurt? All of the existential questions that you might have. But sometimes people have near-death experiences. They will have more answers. There's several channels on YouTube dedicated to interviews with people that have had them, and they are good information. But if you haven't had it yourself, or gone through a spiritual awakening, sometimes it's difficult to grasp, and it might just be entertainment for you, and that's fine. But at least you might be open and not closed-minded to things that go on outside of what you can see and what you can touch. So I think it's always important to stay open to learning about those things. And if you haven't had a near-death experience, or think that you have some tangible answers when you've gone through a spiritual awakening, you have this sense of knowing. It's not, I have the answer to everything, but you know that there is life outside of this body. You know that what we're being told is not true all the time. You know that there's a lot of manipulation in your human experience. We come here when we reincarnate as babies, and we have forgotten everything that we knew before we came into this body. And it takes something to wake you up. It takes something to break you out of that. It would be beautiful if we came here already knowing, or we had parents that taught us what we needed to know in order to forget less. But when you call it Earth School, what you're talking about is the lessons that we're here to learn, what we've signed up for in this life, and things that we want to perfect, things that you can do in a physical body that you can't do as a spiritual being. So you're kind of defeating the purpose a little bit. It's a shortcut. It would be a shortcut if we had that kind of experience where we automatically knew. We picked up where we left off when we came into a new life, but it would defeat the purpose of learning those lessons, because part of learning them is forgetting and having to start over, so that you can be authentic in your experience in this life, and how your teaching, how your experiences will shape you and be part of the way that you learn the things that you learn in this new life. So you may have experienced deja vu from time to time and remember things from different lives. A lot of people go through the meditation process or being, hypnotized to where they can recall past life and that experience and be able to remember it that way. But I think in my experience, it was definitely trauma that brought me to having a spiritual awakening. Now, I felt a calling long before I had a spiritual awakening, a yearning inside, knowing that I was here to do something bigger than what I was doing, knowing that I had a higher purpose, and I knew that I wasn't in it. I couldn't put into words exactly what it was that I was supposed to be doing or what was missing from my life, but it was a very strong pull in knowing that there was something deeper that I was supposed to be doing and I wasn't doing it. I felt like I was wasting time and that I needed to be more involved in figuring it out and getting there so that I wasn't just sitting around not fulfilling the purpose that God had put me here for. So there was always that yearning inside since I would say 2012. And then the realizing the work thing. I think I started just feeling burnt out, especially having to work 2 jobs. And then when I didn't have to work 2 jobs, I was working the majority of the hours during a day to work salary at that one job to make enough money to not have to work 2 jobs again. And just the experiences that I was going through in that just made me realize that this is not it. That is not what we're here to do. This is pointless. We're on a hamster wheel. It's just an endless cycle of get up, go to work again, make barely enough or not enough and have to do even more. I just knew that wasn't it. I had already felt the yearning and the calling, and I knew that that rat race, that hamster wheel was definitely not going to get me to it. And it keeps you so busy and it keeps you so worn out and so stressed that you're never going to get to your calling that way. It keeps you even further away from it, but yet the yearning is still there because I was a stay-at-home mom when I started feeling a calling on my life. And when I felt so stressed that I knew I wasn't ever going to make it to that calling or actualize, bringing in what I was supposed to do to step into that purpose by being so busy that I didn't have time to think about anything else. I knew that wasn't it. So during the pandemic, I worked as a general manager. I changed jobs several times of my own doing. I did not like it, this place, or I moved to a job that was too far away, and I didn't feel like it was making things even worse, having to travel 30-45 minutes to work every day on top of the long hours. Just being in work in the pandemic, a lot of people got used to being at home and working from home or being in isolation, and so when we came back out of that, a lot of people didn't want to work, period. So it was hard to get people hired. So often the business was picking up, but it was just you and one other person or you and 2 other people. So you had to take what you could get. You couldn't always get hard workers if they were people that wanted to work, or you couldn't get people that wanted to work at all. So a lot of things came into play after the pandemic, and general manager for the food service industry is not an easy job, especially if you are you're responsible for everything, the schedule. You're responsible for the hiring, the firing, which is hard in itself, especially if you're low staff, because you keep hold of things that you should have let go because it's just going to be you there, and the satisfaction is going to go down. Anyway, there's a lot of hats a lot of hats that you have to wear, a lot of laws that you have to abide by. So I skipped around a lot, and I knew that looking for the bigger, better deal. I knew that being so busy that I couldn't have a life myself, much less concentrate on my purpose. I knew that that wasn't it, and I started praying so hard. For God to get me out of that. However, that He could do it, whatever I needed to do, I was willing to go through that in order to be where He wanted me to be. And that's when He took me by the hand and He started leading me in blind faith through the biggest roller coaster ride of my entire life. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all, but you have to trust Him. He's going to get you there. Lean not on your own understanding, because the way that He's going to get you there is not anything that you would have ever imagined in any scenario that you could piece together. No amount of imagination will show you or even give you the smallest hint of the way that God is going to get you where He needs you to be. So be expecting that. Just because it looks messy, though, I can tell you this: no matter how horrible it looks or what crooked, narrow, broken path that He brings you there to, trust Him. Trust in Him with all of your heart. Sometimes just be still and know that if He has put you somewhere that you didn't want to be, if He has rejected you from, say you got fired, which I was never fired during this time, but this, for instance, if you were fired, or someone broke up with you, or, look at those things as blessings. Unanswered prayers is a big one, because if it wasn't meant for you, sometimes your heart desires things that's not good for you. If you haven't healed yet, if you haven't done your shadow work or haven't completed your shadow work, which it's never fully done, but the bulk of it, getting through starting it and digging into your traumas and things that you've done to other people and things that people have done to you, making amends for it, trying to pick it apart, realize why it happened and how it had to happen, to make you the person that you are today. Everything strengthens us. So God's rejection is just protection. Just like the broken paths and the journey that how He's gonna take you there, you're also gonna experience disappointments, things that you wanted that didn't work out, but that's all part of the plan. He's not gonna bring you to something if He's not gonna be able to see you through it. So He's gonna prepare you to be able to make it to the destination. So all of the experiences in your life, things that didn't make sense to you while you were going through them, a job that you were only at for a month, or you're thinking, well, that was a waste of time, but there was something that you learned there in that experience. There was something, even the most horrible people that you've encountered in this life helped you in some way to shape you to be the person that you are today, to make it to your destination. All of those are tools in your tool belt. That's what I want you to look at it as. Every situation, every person, every experience, every no, every closed door, every open door, every job, everything, every child, every single thing. And the same for you to other people. They may have hurt you, you may have loved them, you may have hurt them, they may have rolled out the red carpet for you. We all learned something in every single experience from every single person that crossed our path. And in the culmination of it, putting it all together, by the time you follow Him on this journey to finding your purpose, getting on your path, all of those things will come into play. They will all slide perfectly into place to where it will come back up. There will be some relevance, and you will see that relevance and say, well, at the time it seemed like nothing. At the time it seemed really hurtful. At the time it seemed like a waste, but now I get it. It will click. That's how you will know that you were having a spiritual awakening. It will be very painful to do your shadow work, to go through what I call the dark night of the soul, which there's lots of information on it. And it's funny how when you're going through spiritual awakening, if you do have enemies and they are grasping at straws, when you use this terminology, they will grab at that and try to make it fit their narrative of you being bonkers, because it's not mainstream. It is more mainstream than they would like to make it out to be, because all it takes is just a simple search and there's millions of people talking about it, because that's how many people have gone through a spiritual awakening. They didn't make these things up. They're not talking out of their head. It's something that they have sought out to understand their new reality. This is the way. You can't go back to not knowing something. I say that all the time. So once you've gone through a spiritual awakening, or you start to, you want to try to understand it. That's part of not being awake, is we look for information outside, externally. I still do research, but not as much as I did before. I like to cite sources. I like to have definitions. I like to present facts, especially when people have called you crazy, because you want to be able to have something solid to give to them, so they can't get very far with the narrative of you're crazy, when you have all of this research that has been done years and years before you came to this point in your life, where other people have gone through the same thing. It's nothing that you've made up. It's nothing that you're running naked down the road with a knife screaming. Now, if you're doing that, I can't help you. I don't know anything about that, and you might need psychiatric help if that's the case. But what I'm talking about is seeing this life and outside of this life with a heightened awareness. It's your higher self. When you haven't gone through a spiritual awakening, you are in your ego. That is your lower self. So keep those points of reference. You will start to vibrate higher once you shed some of the conditioning, some of the indoctrination, the things that have been taught to you since birth that have molded the person that you are prior to your spiritual awakening. You will struggle with what you've been taught and what you know now to be true. Sometimes it takes horrible things to bring you there, horrible betrayals, things being taken away from you to bring pain, things being ripped out from under your feet, you being just thrown into it. That's the best way that I know how to describe what happened to me other than trauma, is that I was thrown into the deep end of a pool with no lights on. You don't know what or why it's happening. People that said that they love you are all of a sudden treating you like a piece of shit. And you didn't do anything to them but love them and spend all of your time and energy trying to make it better for both of you and not getting anywhere. Knowing what's happened and what they're trying to tell you is happening. Gaslighting is a major part of realizing that you are at a heightened awareness and the people that are around you are very much in their ego and their lower self, lower vibrations. They're not going to understand. They don't want to understand. They don't want to work hard to do the shadow work, which is even more reason for why you need to do it, why you have to do it, because you're never going to get, you're never going to get where God needs you to be on your journey if you're not open to doing that work. You can't go back to not knowing, so you're just going to spend time arguing with the people that don't want to do the work. You're just going to spend time getting hurt even more. It's like crabs in a bucket. They're going to want to pull you back down into where they are. And when you know better, you do better. So don't let them pull you back down into that bucket. If you know that you were meant to hear, if you were here meant to do something bigger, don't go back. Don't look back. Don't let them pull you back out of fear and jealousy and envy. You're not saying that you're better than them. You're saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to surround myself with people that don't want what's best for me, that they aren't going to love and care for me and nurture what I'm doing, where I'm going, leave that behind. If they don't want to have a spiritual awakening, if they don't want to better themselves, if they want to stay in a low vibrational state, let them. Just let them. Everything in the dark comes to light. So if you keep striving to be the best version of yourself, to have inner peace, calmness, tranquility, to not fight, to not argue, to not care about being right, to be very in control of your emotions. It's not, you'll know that it's not worth it anymore. You will not, if you're breaking out of your ego, you will not have the same desire for the things that you used to. You will not feel the need to fight. Stand up for yourself, yes. Defend yourself, yes. But as far as fighting the carnal nature of it all, it's not going to be part of a spiritual awakening. It's not going to be it's part of the ego. That's a defense mechanism that your mind has created, that you were taught, that you think that you needed to be in the past to help yourself get through tough times, to handle bullies, to handle bad stuff that happened to you. But when you're going through a spiritual awakening, you're looking for knowledge from the inside through meditation, through prayer, through your walk with God. You're not looking for validation from external sources. You're looking for things within yourself. You're looking for a connection with God. You're looking for a connection with your higher self. It's all a profound transformation. You are going to become a new person, and it will not last as long or be as painful if you learn to surrender and not resist it happening. If you resist, if you fight it, if you try to take control yourself of the external, it's going to take you that much longer. There's going to be that many more problems. It's going to be more painful than it has to be. So knowing to surrender is a big thing. I didn't at first. I wanted to fight it. I wanted to be mean. I wanted to lash out. I screamed at my uncle several times when I was in the deep end of that dark pool. I didn't know which way was up. I didn't know what was happening or why. And the sooner that I saw it for what it was and knew what I needed to do was surrender to God and let Him take me there the way that He needed to take me there, everything got better as far as the way that I felt inside. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried. I didn't have any fear. I wasn't scared of anything really at all. I might have worried sometimes about how things were going to be provided for me that I didn't have all of a sudden, but God always showed up with what I needed and more, and always right on time. So I felt like I wasted a lot of time digging my heels in and thinking that I needed to control the external when all I needed to do was let go of it. That's what He was telling me to do from the very, very beginning. Let go. Let go. I got this. I'm going to get you there. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. But I'm going to teach you everything that you need is already inside of you. I have already prepared you for this moment. So let go. Don't care what the other people think. Don't care what they say. Don't care about being scared. Don't let them instill fear in you. Don't be afraid of what you've lost, because I'm going to replace it. I'm going to replace it, and it's going to be way better than it ever was before. But first, I have to pull it all away. Look in the Bible on Job. The book of Job will tell you it's going to be like a season of what Job went through. He takes everything away to see if you're down for Him and to see if you're really going to trust Him, and He will bring you there. And Job had to be very, very patient. So learning your temperance, learning to be calm in the storm, learning to not be too happy one day when something goes good, and not being too low when something is bad, learning to be even keel and just trust Him. Just walk with Him, stay right with Him. Don't get ahead of Him, as in trying to control the external, and don't get behind. Don't get depressed. Don't stay still. You need to have forward movement, forward motion, every day and know that it's all going to be okay if you just surrender and let Him take you there. So I think it is amazing the miracles that have been along my path and how I have gotten here. When I first started going through the spiritual awakening, I had everything taken from me. I had no one, and the people that said that they were there for me, I no longer trusted, and I didn't talk to them either. So part of it was my choice, and part of it was because people had hurt me. So for I think 3 weeks, I got up and I walked. I just went to the park and I walked, and it was very cold when I walked, but I wouldn't let myself skip a day, no matter how bad the weather was, no matter how bad I felt, no matter what. I got up and I walked every day because that was the only way that I knew to have forward movement. I was waiting on a job to start, and it saved my life, being away from everyone and everything, and just having the nature, just having the trees, the animals, the flowers eventually when spring came, having the snow, whatever it was that I went through. I grabbed on to anything in my experience during those walks, the exercise, the air, my prayer, whatever it was. It kept me alive. It kept me experiencing life. It kept things moving. I did not stay in bed. I did not stay crying when I wanted to. I didn't want to get up and go walk some days, but I said, Carrie, you have to get up. You have to get up and you have to go walk. And those walks and that time with God, the prayer, the meditation that ensues from that, solitude, it is such a deeper foundation with God, deeper than you'll ever know. And you will start to realize that you still have you. You still have God. You still have this beautiful surroundings of this park or whatever it may be for you. That time, I often thank God for carrying me when I couldn't walk, because until I got into a routine and until it became part like of my habits, something that I did every day, He made me get up. He made me get up. He pretty much carried me to that car. He carried me to that track. He carried me around it because I had no will. I had no will to do it for myself, and He showed me that I did. And I eventually started doing it myself, and I was happy about doing it. And it was something that I looked forward to every day. And I started to look forward to other things every day, just small things, getting a coffee or getting a donut here and there. He showed me how to start living again. And He led me to where I am now, which is in a beautiful place. I don't have everything back yet, but that's where divine timing comes in. You have to wait on Him when you surrender. He's not going to tell you when. He's not going to tell you how. But definitely trust in Him. Like I said, unless you're running down the street naked with a knife, don't let anybody tell you that you're crazy, because that is relevant to this scenario, and it always will be. You're going to have opposition when you're going through this. It may not be as bad as what I went through, but trust in God and not man. Always go straight to source, because that is not ever going to steer you wrong. If you need help, go get help. But don't trust the people that are telling you you're crazy, because they haven't gone through what you have gone through. And even though it is so hard, it is so worth it, because it will get you up out of those hurtful situations and out from around those people that didn't care about you, and it will project you, change your whole life's trajectory, and on purpose to get you where you're supposed to be. God knows when you are faithful. God knows when you put all of your trust in Him, and He is not going to let you down. So that's my best advice on spiritual awakening. I would go look up other people's spiritual awakening. I would definitely go check out Jim Carrey. Trying to think of who else really stands out as far as a celebrity that talks about it. I mean, there's lots. I should have written the list. But Terrence Howard. I talk about him. I talk about Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, oh my goodness. He has one stand-up comedy show. It has something to do with birds in the title. I don't know. It's on Netflix. But it is so good. It's not really comedy. You would think with him it's always going to be comedy, but it's not. He gives great messages in that stand-up routine. But yeah, just embrace it. Embrace it for every step along the journey. You're going to experience lots of repeating numbers, synchronicities, things that you'll find on your path. Like I've said with my feathers, I collected them, pennies on heads, your own synchronicity. I see a lot of ones all the time, 1111, 111, every single day. So you can look up what those things mean. I'm a life path 11, so when you add your birthday together, all of the individual digits, you don't break down 11, 22, or 33. Look up numerology. I'm not making those things up. It's not coming from me. But yeah, it deepens your emotional well-being. You are grounded on source. You are building a solid foundation with God. That is your spiritual awakening encompassed as a whole. That is what you're doing. You've had a tower, the trauma, even if it was a near-death experience, that's still trauma. Something brought you to that near-death experience. It's going to break you out of your shell. That's why I call breaking it open. You're going to break out of your ego. You're going to get to know who you are at your core, your true, genuine, authentic self. Okay? You're going to love your inner child. Every decision that you make from here on out lets whoever you were as a child, whatever wounds that you carry with you from childhood, you're going to let that little boy, little girl know that you are taking charge of it now as far as your emotional maturity and how you know your worth, and you're going to love yourself regardless of what happened to you before, that you're worth it. You're worth all the hard work. You're worth starting over. You're worth building that new foundation with God, because it can't crumble. Nobody can take that from you. So anything that you build on top of that is here to stay. It's only not here to stay if you decide you don't want it anymore, and that's your choice. That's not anybody else's choice. It's nothing that they can rip out from under you. It's something that you control. They have no control over that, and that is so freeing, and that gives you such peace. And I want that for all of you, because the less time that we spend around manipulative, low vibrating people that act like grown children because they've never nurtured or healed their inner child or their past traumas, they're going to stay there, and they're only going to keep hurting you. They're only going to keep hurting themselves and holding themselves back from getting where you're going. So if you have to let go and you have to surrender those people, places, and things that are no longer going to serve your higher good, as painful as it may be, let it go. Let it go. It wasn't meant for you anyway. It was there for a reason. It was there for a season, but it wasn't there for you to put yourself through that over and over again every single day. It's for you to walk away from with that lesson and know that you want something better for yourself, and you're going to get it because you deserve it, and you love yourself, and you deserve to be loved the way that you love yourself from other people as well. Let's see what else before I miss anything. I think that I've said everything about spiritual awakening. Yeah, don't cover your wounds. You're not going to be covering your wounds anymore. So this is something I wanted to say about a false spiritual awakening. Some people try to manipulate by saying that they've gotten there already. I see different people on YouTube that are repeating messages that other people have put out there, and I, with my discernment, know who's genuine and who's not genuine. I can see right through them. And people that have gotten on there and they've given genuine messages about experiences that they've gone through, they give very detailed stories about their trials and tribulations, and then someone will come on YouTube and put on a mask. That's what low vibrational people do. They try to, if they don't want to do the work, they either want to bring you down and dim your light and keep you, try to put negative things on you so that they lower your vibrations, or they use your energy to manifest for themselves, that harvesting energy, siphoning energy. They either try to pull it away from you so that you are not looking as beautiful and stunning and great, and you are not enlightened, and you are being pulled back into your negative traits and habits, or they're going to pretend to be you. They're going to use your energy and try to make other people think that they are the ones that are enlightened, that they are the ones that are in this alignment with Source, when all they're doing is copying you. There's lots of copycats out there, so be careful, because the fake enlightened people are some of the worst, most hurtful, dangerous people, because they are so far away from being in the light. They haven't walked in the dark. They haven't gone and picked apart their dark side and done their shadow work. So they haven't healed, but yet they're trying to put on this coat like they're in the light. And so that's very dangerous. It's very hurtful. Those people have no control over their emotions. They will lash out. They are copycats. They try to be doppelgangers of the people that actually have put in the work, and they try to manipulate you with that and make other people in the community, either online or in person, think that they are this spiritually enlightened, all-knowing person, when in fact they haven't done a day of work on themselves at all. They're just ripping people off as a counterfeit. So be very discerning. Pray about it. If you don't know, ask them questions that you already know the answer to. A lot of the things, go back and watch my videos on discernment. I have lots of things that I've said about it already, so I don't want to be a broken record, but they're very much in their ego when they do that. They're disorganized, and they're trying to meet their pleasures here on earth. What, greed, status, wealth. That's their motive. Trying to be someone that they're not is not going to get them closer to God, and it shows you that they don't want to be close to God. They just want to keep doing what they've been doing as a scam artist, basically. They numb themselves. If they are claiming to be of the light and that they are spiritually awakened, and they're still drinking alcohol, if they're still doing drugs, if they're still sleeping around, they're having a lot of multiple partners, if they are smoking, if they are overweight, if they're drinking a lot, it's making them gain weight, they're addicted to food, they're eating a lot, they are not spiritually awakened, because you are working on every single angle of yourself, and doing those things causes there to be holes in your aura, so you're not going to vibrate high. There's no way that you're vibrating high if you are still addicted or have negative attachments, period. So that's a good way to discern it right there. I have a lot of people that I've met where I say I can read energy, and they're like, oh yeah, well, me too. Well, if you can read energy, then why are you doing all these negative vibrating things? Why haven't you separated yourself? Why haven't you isolated yourself? Well, I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong like you. But you're strong enough to do all these dark, deceitful things. So you're strong enough, but you just don't want to do the work to do the right things, to do the things in the light, to do enlightened things. So don't tell me that you can read energy, because if you knew how to read energy, you would be doing better for yourself. You would be doing better in life. You wouldn't be helping and running around and talking to or relating to. If you relate with people of negative energy, that means you have something in common. You have synced up in your vibrations to other snakes, because you have snake-like qualities yourself. And if you didn't before, you definitely do now, because you're relating to those people in some way, or you wouldn't be able to hang out with them or talk to them or do anything with them. So don't tell me you can read energy, because if you can, you're throwing it out the window. It's a waste, because you're not using it for your own good, and you're choosing to stay and use your strength in these low vibrating energies with these low vibrating people. So you don't want to be enlightened. You don't want to have a heightened awareness. You don't want to be closer to Source and your higher self and the God conscience. You don't want to. I see it. It's all over you. So don't let people pull the fake on you. That's part of abuse and manipulation. And when you are striving to stick to your spiritual awakening and surrendering to your path with God to find your purpose, you don't want to be anywhere around those people at all. So I love you. I hope this helps. If anybody tried to tell you that it's psychosis, from being in the medical field and doing research for this vlog, psychosis, you need orientation. If you don't know your name, you don't know what day it is, you don't know who's president, you can't be orientated times 3. Look that up. That's something that they will do to you in the hospital. That's what we did to people in the psychiatric hospital. Their orientation. Do you know where you are, what your name is, where, like, all of the things that you need for your current awareness, whether you are separating from your old reality to your new reality in a spiritual awakening. If you can tell somebody who you are, where you are, what time, day, place it is, you are not in psychosis. So don't let anybody gaslight you, okay? Period. You do you. You go up. Let them stay where they are. You go up. You be at one with God, and He will take you to amazing places. Just be patient and do the hard work. It's worth it. I love you guys. I'll see you later. God loves you. You're never alone. Bye.